is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back here for yet another episode, and today I'm about to leave for Branson, Missouri, and I thought it would be the perfect time to go through what I pack in my travel fishing tackle bag, tackle box kind of thing, how I pack my rods, how I store all my tackle and store my reels and everything. And so let's get into it. Okay guys, so I'm going to start off right now with kind of hard baits, hooks, spinner baits, crankbaits, jigs, all those kind of things. I'm going to kind of go over those real quick, how I store them, how I determine what kind of lures I'm going to use. And so I actually just got this tackle box right here. It's a Plano 3600 size waterproof one. The reason why I'm starting to go with more waterproof boxes, or especially with this travel box, is I'm going to be taking this box a ton of places. This is going to go everywhere with me. Now that I'm fishing and filming so much, that I take a rod, at least one rod, everywhere I go. Even if it's like a day trip or something, I'll still take a rod. Maybe we find a couple minutes, find a little pond, and I'll go fish. But so the reason why this is waterproof is because this box is going to be getting thrown around and everywhere when I'm on these trips and fishing on these boats and stuff. And so that's why it's kind of important to have a waterproof box, so then if it gets wet or something, all your hooks don't get rusted out. But I just got this box, and everything now is suited for Table Rock Lake. That's where I'm going to be fishing. And so you look in here, I've got some jerk baits, spinner baits, crank baits. I've got like a little hook section with wobble heads, tungsten weights, hooks, that kind of stuff. I've got football jigs. These are all legendary baits, football jigs. And then I've got a little miniature Alabama rig. So I'm going to go through and show y'all and kind of tell y'all how I determine what kind of lures to use. And so I've actually fished Table Rock Lake more than Beaver Lake, which is really surprising, but it's just true. But so every time you know, Table Rock Lake is a big rock lake. There's not a lot of grass or anything, and so there's a lot of rocks. So I don't have to worry about throwing like punch rigs or any like frogs or anything like that to get through the grass. So I can stick to more kind of crankbaits and that kind of stuff. So that's why I've got some jerk baits here. These are going to be coming into play a lot. I'll probably have one of these on a lot of the time. But just a little jerk bait shad pattern. Normally the water clarity at Table Rock Lake is clearer than some of the ponds that I fish, and so that's why you can throw jerk baits with kind of a white, kind of sometimes translucent color, because it will stand out good in the clear water. Next, we've got a little Alabama rig here. I've got it broken down into three parts: two little miniature swim baits, and then I've got the little Alabama rig here. It's just a little cheap one that I bought. I think it was on sale for like $5 or something. So that's that. And then we get into the good stuff that I'm going to be throwing a lot, which these are the legendary baits, jigs. I've got one of them in every color of football jigs. So we've got natural, I've got orange crawl right here. That's the one I'm going to start off with. I've got a merkin one, and then a black and blue jig. But these are going to be what I'm throwing most of the time, because there's a lot of crawfish and they're hiding around in those rocks, and that's where the fish are going to be, because the rocks in the winter time hold the most heat. And so that's where I'm thinking the fish are going to be more. And so that's why I'm throwing a football jig. And then the other reason why it's a football jig and not a baller jig is, again, the grass. There's really no grass there. especially in the winter time, so I don't have to worry about picking up any grass or anything. So, and Table Rock is deep, and so those will get down there deeper. Next is I've got a couple medium diving crankbaits. I'm probably going to take a couple more or switch out the shallow diving ones in my day box and put some medium diving ones in here, but I'm sticking to mainly crawfish ones because, again, I'm fishing around rock, and that's where the fish are going to be. And so, and then that's also where crawfish are going to be. So that's kind of why I'm sticking. I've got this kind of orangish one. I've got, let's see, I've got this kind of more translucent brown one right there. And then I've also got a little live target bait fish ball one that I got on sale. So those are all the crankbaits that I've got in this box. Again, I probably will switch out a couple of the shallow diving ones from in my day box and put some medium diving ones in there. Next, we've got spinner baits. Spinner baits are really good, or they can be really good in the winter time, slow rolling them on the bottom around rocks. Again, if y'all see a pattern here, I'm fishing around rocks. So what I've got here, I'm pretty sure most of these are ½ ounce or so. So that's a big ½ ounce, maybe like even 3/4 ounce one. Another one, I've got a couple H2O Express ones here. See, there's a white one that might be ½ ounce, and then here's another kind of shad pattern one, sexy shad one. I think that one's ½ ounce, and then this one is a big thumper. Maybe if I want to go do a little bit of night fishing. This one is 3/4 of an ounce. I'm going to be fishing this on heavier line, a heavier rod. It's got a big old blade. I've actually got 2 of these, only one in the box because I've still got one hanging out, but that's another big spinner bait right there. And then just down here I've got a couple wobble heads. There's some hooks. There's a wobble head. These are the Excite Baits wobble heads. These are my favorite ones. These and the VMC ones. They are football ones, and yeah, they just work. They're stout hooks. And then I've got a couple Shaky Heads as well. Again, I don't know if I'm going to be throwing those too much because I'm going to be fishing the Legendary Baits Jigs. If you haven't gone and checked them out, go check them out. Link in the description. So that's kind of my travel box. Again, I bought this box for one purpose. That's not just Table Rock Lake, but each time I go, say I go to Beaver Lake, I will, actually a lot of the stuff will stay the same, but say I go to a lake with a lot of grass, like Okeechobee. Say I go down to Florida. We're kind of looking at going down to Florida to see my uncle next year, or this coming summer. And so I'll be taking a lot of chatterbaits, a couple spinner baits, not as many no football jigs actually. Some swim baits and some other stuff like that, flipping baits. But I can designate this box just to some chatterbaits, some spinner baits, and swim baits, and that kind of stuff. So it changes all the time. These baits probably nothing. Let's see, nothing in here will stay the same pretty much, except for the hooks. So it gets modified every time I fish a different place. So that's that. Next, I've got this little box right here. This is my like a little terminal tackle box. And then here's my day box. If y'all haven't seen this, I'm not sure if I did a video on this or not. I might have, and I just didn't post it. But this is my day box. I take this every time I go fishing. It's got everything in it. It's got jigs right down here. It's got some shad patterns, chatterbaits, a couple bluegill chatterbaits, some frogs, which this time of the year is too cold for frogs to be out. And so actually I might take those out and put a couple medium diving crankbaits in there and a couple different patterns. And then I've got lipless crankbaits, I've got bluegill square bills, and then shad colored square bills. Then I've got weights, swim bait, and what do you call it? Shaky Heads up here, and then hooks, and then some top water baits, which I can exchange those out for some medium diving crankbaits, or maybe even deep divers. But, so that is all my hard baits and everything. So now let's get into rods, reels, and then I'll go grab some soft plastics. Okay guys, so now we will move on to reels, and this is how I store it, or this is how I'm storing them right now. This is the KVD little bag thing. Came with tackle boxes, but I've got those somewhere else. So as you can see, I've got 4 bait casting reels in here. I've got my 13 fishing one, I've got a Lose, I've got another Lose, and then an Abu Garcia. And the reason why I like this little bag is because it is padded on all sides pretty much, and it just holds these 4 reels perfectly. So as you can see, is almost all these reels have these blue covers on them. This one doesn't, just because I ran out, but all of these ones do. And the reason why I use this is, again, more protection. I want to keep these things looking nice, and so then I can use them for a long time. So yeah, but we will get on to one thing, how I store this. This is what I was watching a long time ago from Andrew Flair. But what you do is you loosen the drag up all the way, and then to where you can still spin it, but then you can hold it down and you can still move the handle, and that loosens up the gears. And if the gears are all tight, compressed for a long time, then they wear out on each other faster. I'm not the best science person, I guess you would say, if those gears are compressed that much. I don't know what damage that does. He just said that it does more damage and the reel won't last as long. So that is one tip that I would give y'all, is to loosen up all y'all's drag. So this one is done. This one right here is done. This one is done as well, right there. And then this one, this other loose reel, is good. So I'll go over quickly the line again, because let's see, Table Rock Lake is a pretty clear lake, so I've got only 1 reel out of the 4 with braid on it, and it is this one right here. This is the 13 Fishing Origin something. Forgot what it is, but it's the Origin. So I've got 50-pound braid on that one, which is going to be for kind of some deeper stuff, because the one thing with deeper, like fishing, kind of like deeper baits, is that the deeper you go, the less light comes down from the sun, and so the fish can't really see as much, and so you can use kind of heavier line braid sometimes. So that's kind of why I've got that one on there. So, and then this one is 15-pound fluorocarbon, so pretty clear. This one right here, this is a crankbait reel. This one has 12-pound fluorocarbon on it. And then this Abu Garcia one, I actually don't remember. I'm pretty sure I spooled it with, yep, 12, or this 15-pound fluorocarbon on that one as well, just right there. Actually, several of those are brand new spools. So that is how I store my bait casters. Again, I'll just put this in the car somewhere, like under a seat or something, and they will be good to go. So now let's get on to the rods. Okay guys, so now on to the rods. One thing that I like to use is, as you can see, we've got kind of a Valentine's card coming on here with all these rod socks, but these are actually called rod socks, if you didn't just hear me. But they come in all sorts of sizes, colors, and everything. And pretty much what they are they go all the way along your rod, and they just protect your eyelets. You know, these things are about $5, but each eyelet, even if you lose one insert and you're using fluorocarbon, especially on your tip, and you're fishing like brush and stuff, it can be really bad. Because if you set the hook into a big one, then that eyelet could just cut that line in half, and it would be the end of your day. And especially if it's a big one, you wouldn't have it anymore. So, but these protect probably say $5 an eyelet, and you've got 10. That's $50 just in eyelets. That a $5 thing just like this can protect. So these things are really great investments, or really good investments, I should say. But yeah, that's pretty much how I store my rods. Very simple. Just put these things on them. Really easy. Another thing that I like to use are these things, again, made by Rod Glove. Shouldn't be giving free promotion, but I am. These are called rod wraps, and as you can see, I've already got one of them on right there. But pretty much what they do is they just wrap around your rod. You've got one long one, you've got one thinner one, thin and shorter one. One of them goes up towards the tip, one of them stays down here at the bottom, and you just basically wrap it around the bottom part. And then look, I'm just touching one rod, but yeah, I've got two other rods connected to that one. So it makes it really easy for traveling in and out of cars, in and out of hotels, different places, to and from tournaments and stuff like that. So they're really great investments. Protect your rods a whole lot. I'm not sponsored by them. Wish I was, but I'm not. Unless Rod Glove, you want to hit me up, DM me on Instagram, you know, leave a comment down below. I'll get back to you. Yeah, they're great investments. But that is how I protect my rods. Very simple. So let's get on to the soft plastics. Okay guys, so now we are moving on to soft plastics, and pretty much what all I do is if I'm going to a lake, I pick out my confidence stuff. Very simple, easy way to pick out stuff, soft plastics. But what I've got here is I've got some speed crawls, some brush hogs, some little swim baits from Bruiser Baits. These are my go-to jig trailers, the Rage Menace. If you want to hit me up, Strike King, you can. I love it. And then we've got the Gambler Little Easy right there. And then we've got a couple Finesse Worms right here. We've got the short Finesse Worms. These are like the mini trick worms. And then we've got some little ribbon tail worms right there. And then we've got a natural color of, let's see, there's watermelon red trick worm. But those are all the soft plastics I am going to take, and those are all my confidence baits. So what I've got is I've got a couple kind of bigger swim baits down to get down to the bottom, and if I don't, like, these are a lot more weedless than a spinner bait, and they're also a lot cheaper than spinner baits. And so I can throw these, let them sink all the way down to the bottom, slow roll them across the bottom as well. The rocks. But and then if I find a brush pile, then I can throw out a football jig, or I can throw out a shaky head, a wobble head, or something like that. But that's kind of what I'll be using these for. Not really as like a search, yeah, kind of like a search bait, but just like a bottom finder. See what the bottom feels like. And then again, just like I said, these are my go-to jig trailers. I love these things. They are a little expensive, but if you put them on a jig, then they will last you a little while. And then I've got 2 packs of Zoom creature baits right here, brush hog and little creature crawl bait. But these are, again, in natural colors. All this stuff right here is, you don't see me going all pinks and everything. Crazy with the colors. I stick clear lakes, clear colors. Darker lakes, some darker colors, and then some really bright colors like whites and flashy stuff. But again, Table Rock is a clear lake, and so I'm throwing clear stuff, translucent stuff. So that's why I've got watermelon red worms, a bag of June bug worms, which that won't really make a difference. Some, let's see, green pumpkin and watermelon purple glitter, green pumpkin. What's this color? Tennessee Retriever. That's a pretty clear color. So that's all I'm going to take again on my trip. Okay guys, and this is how I store all my soft plastics. This is a Tournament Choice little soft plastics binder. What it is it's pretty much just a binder. You've got 2 O-rings, and it's just a lot of soft plastic baggies. As you can see, I already put a couple creature baits in here. But really all you do is you take a couple bags of soft plastics, take this one, and then take this one. What I do is I flip them on like the outside, so then I can see what both bags are, if you guys didn't know. Or sometimes I put one in each, so then they're not falling out, but I can see what this one is, and then I can see what this bait is. But that is how I organize my soft plastics. I hope you guys enjoyed this long video. My camera cut out on me a couple of times, so I had to redo it. But yeah, that is how I organize all my stuff when I travel. I don't travel too much, but sometimes I take a lot of stuff. But that's how I store everything. Again, if you found some of these tips interesting, drop a comment down below and tell me what you thought about it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Again, if you like some of these tips, and make sure to use them when you go on your next trip. And we'll catch y'all on the next episode of LMB Nation. Peace, guys.